Hello, everybody. This is Stephen Whitfield with Drilling Contractor, and we are in Houston, Texas, site of the 2026 IADC Drilling Onshore Conference. And if you've read our magazine in the past decade, you will know this man's brother. So this is Richard Spears of Spears & Associates. His brother John is a frequent contributor to our magazine. We have his brother here today. He gave a presentation sort of looking at the land drilling market. It was a presentation that pretty much everyone in this conference wanted to hear. So we figured we'd give some of that to you viewers out there in the internet land. Richard's going to tell us a little bit more about some of what he sees for the market moving forward. So, Richard, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's completely my pleasure, and I'm glad that I can actually be present as opposed to my brother who's through some TV screen.
I'm sure he's off on vacation somewhere having fun. So
he better be having fun.
Well, we'll have some fun here.
I think I'm having fun.
We'll have some fun right here. We'll start by talking about some bold claims that you made in your presentation here today. One that you said that really struck our attention is this idea that the the drilling industry, oil and gas drilling industry, is not necessarily going to be cyclical moving forward. I mean, that seems like an inversion of how we think of this industry. Can you explain why you think that?
For anybody that's been in the industry for longer than 10 years, and so many of your readers are going to be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, all they do is think of an industry that in the olden days in America, we responded to the price of natural gas. And then we responded to the price of oil. And then we responded to the amount of capital that was flowing in the industry based upon the price of gas and oil. But if you look at it, ever since about 2018 or so that's 8 years, the industry's been incredibly stable if you overlook the disaster that COVID was. If you just remove the whole 2000 thing, and then the rapid recovery of it, you see a pattern of spending in America and worldwide that's incredibly stable, both to drill, to complete, to produce, very stable spending. And so I think that the pattern of extreme cyclicality is in the past now until some other change occurs in the future. And even with the war in Iran, I'm not sure that the change has happened just yet.
So another thing that you said, now this is something that I've heard elsewhere, but you put it out starkly in your presentation, is this possibility that we might see oil price going up to 150. I'm sure like if we had said this like 3 years ago, you probably would have laughed, like 150, that's crazy high. I still hear that and think, wow, that's high. So I have to ask you, what are the odds of that actually happening? And should we get to such a high price, what does that mean for our industry?
So people at the board level and the management teams of oil companies still use the future price of oil and the future price of gas as their primary planning tool for what they're going to spend the rest of this year and for next year. And the future price of oil is always down. If today's price is 100, next year it's going to be 70. If this year's price is 70, next year it's going to be 40. It's always down. So the future price rarely predicts what the actual price is going to be. But it's hard. You've never seen a supply disruption in the history of the planet that we've got right now. I think of the parallel as being what happened in the very early 70s when the Arab oil embargo happened, where overnight, effectively a war started. It was an economic war. And the price of oil just leapt up. It wasn't the $100 levels it is now, but if you inflated it to current dollars, it'd easily be where we are today. This price jump, it stayed there and kept rising. And so I look back at those days of the very early 70s and various other times since then and go, how would you rather bet? Do you think that 6 months from now the price of oil is more likely to be 150 or 50? And you've got to go with 150. That said, I think that the oil companies all over the world use that extra money to pay off their debt and give it back to the shareholders. And they don't necessarily deploy it in drilling more holes in the ground.
Okay, so that being said, we're still talking about returning cash back to shareholders, fiscal discipline that we've been seeing post-COVID. Let's entertain this hypothetical that somewhere along the way, these high prices downwind lead to some kind of increase in demand. Should that happen, do you think that drilling contractors with the equipment we have today are equipped to meet any kind of demand increase we might see? Or, as somebody put, as they asked you the question in your presentation, are we possibly looking at needing new builds to meet that demand?
This is an industry that over the last 5 to 10 years has seen an efficiency gain of drilling speeds and let's call it frac speeds, if you will, of 10 to 15% per year. Like in the past, we could barely get 2 or 3% of an improvement in efficiency out of a drilling rig or out of a frac crew. But it's just been 10 to 15% per year now. And so when you do that, you go, if I want more oil, if I want to drill more feet of hole, if I want to frac more feet of hole, and I have the exact equipment that I've got, I just keep getting more and more efficient, I actually need fewer than I have today. But the difference is this, and we'll take the board I sit on. I sit on Latshaw Drilling's board, good member of the IDC. You have put a Latshaw rig on the cover of your magazine way more than once. And Rig 50 just went out. Rig 50 was a 1 million pound hook load, high torque top drive, lots of mud pumps, lots of power. And it's drilling 4-mile laterals day after day after day in New Mexico, and oddly shaped laterals. That's the kind of drilling rig that needs to come out in the future. And that rig, if you built it brand new, is $40 million. If you build it, scrape it together with parts you've already got and add a few new things, it's still a $20 million piece of capital equipment. So I don't need more rigs, I probably need different rigs. And what I hope is that we have a contractor community that can take parts of 2 rigs and make them into another rig, or find a 2,000 horsepower drawworks and put that in a rig that'll hold 1.5 million pound hook load and set back 40,000 feet of 5-inch drill pipe. That's what I think the industry needs now.
I'm sure there'll be somebody out there that has that combination. They can put all that together and make the rigs that will be needed in the future. Well, Richard, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time. I really do appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you, Stephen.
All right. And thank you for visiting drillingcontractor.org.